Good morning. I'm Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, your daily dose of smart, actionable insights from the best nonfiction. So how's your mood? If you're like most of us, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. But if you'd like a little more equilibrium, check out these big ideas from the 2020 book, The Book of Moods, How I Turned My Worst Emotions into My Best Life by Laura Martin. Laura is a New York writer, the founder of the blog Women Who Write, and she decided to get to the bottom of her bad moods, and she went on a years-long quest to figure out what moods are and how we can manage them. Mixing humor, memoir, and psychology, Laura has written a very relatable, engaging book that might just make you look at your own moods a little differently. Here she is to share some of her big ideas right after this short break.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
My name is Laura Martin, and I am the author of The Book of Moods. The Book of Moods. Don't be weird. Okay. I'm a writer, a marketing professional, and the founder of Words of Women, a blog where I share insights in psychology, spirituality, neuroscience, and all areas of art dedicated to enhancing the well-being of, well, women. The Book of Moods is my first book, and it was a 5-year experiment. Basically, I had a bit of a come-to-Jesus moment where I realized I wasn't as happy as I could be. I was young, I was healthy, I was living in New York, I had a great relationship, I had an apartment, I was writing, I was living my dream. Yet I kept falling into these moods, and I felt like I was wasting my life. So I made a decisive decision that for the next 5 years I would study any time I was in a bad mood and figure out what was happening. Unlike Elizabeth Gilbert or, say, Cheryl Strayed, my journey didn't take me to India or ashrams or across desert plains, but daily life in New York City, in the mundane moments and situations we all encounter. Only unlike ever before, I was aware of myself. I was studying myself. I was saying, okay, I'm standing in this line, I'm waiting for this subway, and why am I miserable? What is happening? What is this mood? What caused it? Why is it here? The core goal of my journey was to figure out how I could be in a better mood for more of my life. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 of the key insights from my book, and I hope you enjoy them. Insight number 1. Your bad moods tell you a lot about yourself. Contrary to what I previously believed, my moods weren't random and they didn't just come out of nowhere. I didn't just fall into bad moods or wake up with a bad mood. It was a bit more complicated than that. Neuroscientists have confirmed that emotional responses last only 60 to 90 seconds. Buddhist monk Pema Chodron believes an emotion that lasts longer than a minute and a half is no longer an automatic physiological response, but a decision. A decision to keep igniting that thought, that emotion, over and over again. That's when it became clear. A mood is just a prolonged emotion. If it was that simple, however, why couldn't I just stop feeling the emotion after 90 seconds? Why did it have to always turn into a mood? The answer was because I didn't know what was creating the feeling. If you don't know why something's created, you can't really work on stopping it. Mood experts, psychologists, and scientists have also defined moods as responses to feelings triggered by events. Even though whatever triggered the emotion is gone, the emotion and the mood is still there. Moods then weren't just about understanding my emotional response, but the triggers that prompted them. Each of us has a unique set of triggers that set off our emotional responses. Though different things trigger us, a comment from my mother isn't going to trigger you. The underlying root of that comment nicks at a universal psychological condition: anxiety, depletion, insecurity. When you start to understand your triggers and the underlying root of them, is not only when you start to understand yourself better, but you can understand your reactions and you can stop the emotional response before it gets to that 90-second mark and before it turns into a mood. Insight number 2, treating yourself is good for you. One of the biggest triggers of moods I found through my research and self-evaluation stemmed from a concept known as ego depletion. Depletion is that mood you feel at the end of the day when you're kind of pissed off, but you don't know why, but everything's really bothering you. Ego depletion is a new theory that posits that self-control and willpower is a finite resource within us, kind of like strength. And like strength, the more we use, the less we have within us to use later. A runner can only run so many miles in a day. A bodybuilder can only lift so much. Imagine your willpower like a battery. Every morning you wake up and you have a fresh set of energy to do things. As we continue to do things, however, things that require willpower and self-control, which is basically anything, like sending an email, eating a salad, going to the gym, making dinner, finishing a presentation, we're constantly depleting ourselves, and that battery is continually draining. At a certain point, our willpower depletes to such a level that we don't have the energy or motivation to make any more decisions. And that's when we become irrational. That's when small things start to feel like big deals. It's why we find it hard to go to the gym after work. It's why we're cranky when we're tired. It's why we struggle to curb all of our bad habits, mainly towards the end of the day. So what helps restore these depleted levels? The first way that's proven is sleep. And that's an easy one. And it's also why things always feel better in the morning. When we sleep, we restore our batteries and we wake up kind of refreshed. But we can't go to sleep all the time. I can't take a nap in the middle of the afternoon when I'm feeling depleted. So the second way they found is positive emotion actually counteracts ego depletion. But that's a little easier said than done. It's really hard to put yourself just in a good mood when you're super depleted. And so that's when treating yourself comes in. In a study, participants did a task requiring self-regulation. Imagine doing like a complex puzzle. After the task, they were split into 3 groups. One group watched a comedy show, the others received a gift, maybe like a Snickers bar, and the last group did nothing at all. They were then asked to do another task, another one like a puzzle that would require willpower and self-regulation. The researchers found that those who watched a comedy show or received a gift performed better than the participants who did nothing in between tasks. In fact, they self-regulated the next task as well as non-depleted participants who didn't even do the first task. So what does this tell us? It tells us that we shouldn't feel guilty about treating ourselves, that taking breaks, that coming home after work and playing an hour of video games or watching, crappy reality TV is good for us, and we need to stop feeling guilty. These things, these little treats, they restore us and they keep us from melting down. And the best way to curb your bad mood is to actually figure out what do you like to do and how can you treat yourself better. Insight number 3. Stress doesn't have to be bad. We know stress is the cause of many of our moods. I mean, even the word kind of stresses me out. But what if I told you that the way we think about stress can actually be quite healthy for us? To explain this, I have to tell you a story. A few years ago, I was working at a marketing firm, and my boss was sending me out to a big conference we had in Vegas. I was the only one going from the New York office, but she told me I'd be meeting another employee there, a remote employee from California. We'd never met before, and when I asked my boss, okay, what's she like? How old is she? My boss responded and said, she's 75. Okay, I thought. So we planned to meet at a restaurant the night before the first day of the conference. I decided to get there early to look out for her. I mean, how many 75-year-olds could there be walking around Vegas? This is a young conference, lots of 30-year-olds. Only when she arrived at the table, I'd completely missed her because she didn't look 75. She looked 50. But beyond that, there was a real vibrancy to her, a youthfulness. I mean, just the fact that she was working in this industry with 20, 30-year-olds, was attending this conference in Vegas. We were up on our feet all day. She was excited about it. She was so full of energy and life. So after 2 margaritas, I eventually asked her what I was dying to ask from the beginning. What is your secret? And she looked me dead in the eye and she said, no stress. What do you mean no stress? I said, that's impossible. And she said, I mean, I no longer look at stressful situation as things that I have to do, but things I get to do. That was an interesting concept, so I looked into it more. And it turns out what she's talking about is this idea of anxiety reappraisal, the way we use words to match feelings, or change the words to change our feelings. To explain this, a researcher asked participants to sing the song Don't Stop Believing in front of a group. That's a very stressful situation, right? Before singing, though, the participants were told to tell themselves either I'm excited, I'm nervous, or nothing at all. According to computerized measurements of volume and pitch, the I'm excited group actually sang better. When asked to give 2-minute speeches, the same result happened. When the excited group spoke, They spoke longer, they came across more persuasive and confident. By viewing stressful moments as challenges, we can rewire our brain, and as I further explain in the book, we can live much longer, healthier lives. Insight number 4. All family fights stem from family roles. It's a known thing that family triggers us. Holidays, vacations, calls from others, they're prone to the inevitable breakdown, the inevitable blow up. At a certain point, however, we need to stop being so triggered by our families. Virginia Satir was a family psychologist who spent her career studying the relationship between family members. And she believed every family casts its members into roles. And these roles, no matter how damaging or inaccurate they might be, are ingrained within our family dynamics. Our roles are communication styles, ways we've learned and grown accustomed to interacting with our family. They keep everything running in a certain harmony. And every time you talk to your mom or your sister or your dad, you expect them to take on their role and you yours. According to Satir, there are 5 styles of communications or 5 roles that family members are likely to adopt. And most of our family fights are caused because we're trying to get someone to act out of their role, or we're trying to communicate with them in a way that their role doesn't understand. So, what are the 5 roles? The first role is that of the blamer. I'm a blamer. The sensitive and spirited ones of the family. You know, the first by your side, but the first to jump down your throat if they feel betrayed, slighted, disrespected. Sweet people with an aggressive reputation of lashing out. Second role is that of the distractors. They are the jokers of the families, the ones who would rather deflect than engage. They're very quick to steer the conversation away from anything that verges on too deep. The third, placaters. My mom's a placater. The neutral ones who deny their own feelings and needs by obsessing over everyone else's. They try to keep everyone from fighting, but by doing this, they delay, the underlying tensions from breaking through. Role number 4, computers. The computers are a lot like distractors, as they really don't want to get deep or emotional, but the way they deflect is through fact and reason. Kind of like, you're fighting with your sister and she keeps being like, but that thing you said on December 14th, it's not about December 14th. Like, get over that. But they cling to these like random dates and facts, and that's their way that they deflect. The 5th role is the role that everyone should kind of aim for, but a lot of us don't actually fit into, and that is of levelers. The levelers are the golden child, the type of communicators who are emotionally open, they're mature, they're not afraid to express themselves. They're emotional without being emotionally charged. They make others feel comfortable, heard, and understood. This isn't about feeling bad about what your role is, but about understanding who you are and where you fit into your family dynamic. When you understand your role and you can see the different roles that your family takes, you can start to accept them in that role and stop expecting so much from them. And when you understand your own motives, impulses, and triggers, you can better adapt to the motives around you. So if you want to stop fighting with your family and you want to stop being so triggered by them, try and understand what role they're coming from. Insight number 5. Moods are contagious. The catalyst for this whole book really started with a fight with my husband. I'd come home from work, most likely depleted, and was in, yet again, another bad mood. Only this time, he'd had enough. I can't take it, he said. Your moods, they're exhausting. I can't deal with them anymore. It was a lot like when F. Scott Fitzgerald said to his wife Zelda, if I didn't love you so much, your moods wouldn't affect me so deeply. The desire to examine my moods and make the real work to understand and change them came when I realized that my moods weren't just affecting my life, but the life of those around me. Vanessa Van Edwards is a behavioral investigator who spent years conducting studies on people's emotions and behaviors, and she found that humans really do catch emotions. And the emotions we catch from someone makes us either like that person or dislike them. And the reaction of that person creates the energy we feel around us. According to Edwards, whether we like to admit it or not, we decide if we like someone, if we trust them, if we want a relationship with them within the first few seconds of meeting them. And this is mainly due to microexpressions, which include real smiles, looks of fear, stress, and anxiety. And these microexpressions induce the same feelings in others. So even when we think we're doing a good job of hiding our feelings, these subtle facial expressions give us away. It's why a certain tone in your sister's voice when she answers the phone might put you on edge. We can't hide our moods. Our moods are our energy, and our energy becomes our life. Your moods affect not just you, but everyone around you. And the faster you can get control of your worst moods, the sooner you'll start seeing a drastic change in the way people react to you. And while this book is an individual journey into my moods and how I learned to change them using psychology and spirituality and science, I hope that on a larger scale, if everyone can start looking at their own moods individually, it can have a chain reaction. And maybe, if everyone's in a better mood for more of the time, the world will be a lighter, nicer place to live.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, listeners, you can get yourself a copy of The Book of Moods using the link in the episode notes. And if you haven't heard, the Next Big Idea Club just chose Brené Brown's new book, Strong Ground, as its pick for the season. That means if you join the club, you'll get a signed copy of the book, an invitation to a private Q&A with Brené, and a regular pipeline of exciting nonfiction sent right to your door. So go to nextbigideaclub.com and use the code DAILY for a special discount. That's nextbigideaclub.com and use the code DAILY at checkout. That does it for us this week. These episodes were written by me, Michael Kovnat, and edited by Kayla Bissinger. We'll see you Monday.